My name is Moses Chirwa, working as a consultant obstetrician gynecologist. I'm from Zambia, and I work in a district called Chipata at a hospital called Chipata Central Hospital. I'm glad to be part of this training, which was organized through Merck Foundation. I got to know about Merck Foundation through our Ministry of Health. There was a time I had accompanied our Minister of Health in Dubai, and when I got through there, I met the Merck Foundation team, and that's how I was introduced. And big opportunity it was for me, because that's what I'd been planning to do all this time, get into fertility treatment. And this has been such a nice opportunity for me to get to know a lot more about infertility treatment. And even when I head back home, my knowledge has just become so vast. Finally, I've gotten to have had that experience, hands-on experience, in a state-of-the-art training facility with quite a lot of exposure, modern technology, including fertility treatment in a low setup. It's been such a nice, wonderful opportunity, of which I feel when I get back home, there is quite a lot more finally that I'll be able to offer to my patients who suffer from infertility. And more importantly, I'm involved in teaching, and through teaching, I'll be able to transfer a lot of my knowledge and a lot of experiences that I've gained through this training to so many people that fall under my department, and of course other colleagues that we do share with scientific data when it comes to gynecological conditions, especially fertility treatment. With the challenges that we've continued facing in terms of fertility treatment, when you look at staff involved, trained embryologists we don't have, and we have to depend. In the same private sector, the group that has to come from outside. Then whilst most, when it comes to specialist care treatment in terms of fertility, it is generally offered by people that have studied obstetrics and gynecologists, but those who have particularly taken up keen interest, probably even undergone further trainings, exposures, especially trainings in fertility. So far, among the team that is in Zambia, I do not know of anyone. We basically do not have one. And like I said, apart from the team that comes from outside, otherwise the local team, no one has taken up fertility like a subspecialty where the whole interest is just fertility, and probably offer even advanced techniques when it comes to fertility treatment. Those are lacking. And we are hoping once I do this, a lot more of my colleagues come and train. As we are becoming many, fertility treatment will definitely, we hope we are going to improve it and make it easily affordable throughout the country. Then the other challenges we keep having are investigatory capacity. Investigations when it comes to fertility. Yes, the big centers, the bigger hospitals, tertiary hospitals, district hospitals, they can do up to radiological investigations like hysterosalpingograms, but the other types, especially when it comes to further tests, hormones, and a few further tests, the nitty-gritties of fertilities, those, no, they are lacking. And if we have to do them, yes, we may engage one or two labs which are in the private sector, but in the government sector, those challenges are very much there. First, investigatory capacity, it's limited. 2, the expertise is limited. 3, the drugs are equally limited. Of course, one thing is no one has taken up that interest, but with thanks to Merck Foundation, Merck More Than a Mother, as many of us get exposed, as many of us get to train, finally we have this group of obstetricians, gynecologists who are going to take up this keen interest in fertility, And therefore, even as we shape up budgeting, getting consumables, supplies in the hospitals, finally we'll get to prioritize fertility treatment and we'll know specifically what we need to get. So in the rural areas, that's where the biggest challenge is. First and foremost, even the number of doctors who are there, they are not many. But even the few that are there, when it comes to capacity, handling, treating infertility, no, that is lacking too. Equipment, necessary investigations, drugs, those are not there. And all places in rural areas, they have to refer to the districts. But even in these districts, most of them, they still have to refer to the bigger centers. And I'm talking about a country where we have over 100 districts. But if you are to look at centers that would be able to at least investigate basic minimum requirements, very few, maybe probably 10 to 20 and there, but getting through to the advanced now form of treatment, for that one, with all the government hospitals, rural, urban, there we are at zero. We are not yet there, apart from one private institution that I named, which is in the capital of Lusaka. So it means even those now coming outside Lusaka, if they are to get that form of treatment, they will need to cover those long distances. They will need to look for accommodation. And of course, infertility treatment, sometimes a client will need to be reviewed repeatedly, probably for close to a month. All those now challenges come in. They have to come from far-flung places, and then they have to get through to the main capital. And then costs. Yes, it's a private institution. As usual, costs have to come in, which the majority are unable to afford. And in the end, treatment becomes now a preserve of those with money, a preserve of those who are rich. They are basically the ones who are able to afford that treatment. Otherwise, a common person on the street, the fees are just quite too high for most of them. They'll be unable to afford such fees, and including the logistics of traveling to the main capital. So the social challenges when it comes to infertile couples, mainly it falls on the woman. What will happen is women get stigmatized for failing to conceive, for failing to have a child. We even have certain terms which are quite derogatory, like in the area where I work, Eastern Province, they even use a specific term like ingomwa to suggest this woman is unable to have a child. And what will happen is marriage, basically one of the biggest thing with marriage in our setup is that there have to be children. After a year of marriage, relatives, name it all, parents to the couple, especially parents to the man, they will come knocking and asking, when are we getting a grandchild? When are you having a child? And once the couple is unable to have a child, one or two problems start coming in. Secondly, some couples, we get issues where men, 2, 3, 4 years failing to have a child, then they'll start attempting elsewhere, of course, illegally, without the wife knowing. And if they end up having a child there, I've dealt with infertile couples where a woman comes maybe after 5 years of marriage and she says, doctor, please do whatever you can. My husband has just impregnated another woman. Why? He was telling me that I'm unable to give him a child, and therefore he had to go somewhere. Already that puts that couple at risk of infections such as HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. Generally, not having a child, the couple, a man is equally seen as being weak, like he's not strong enough to impregnate a girl, he's not strong enough to impregnate his woman. And sometimes people, they'll do it in a joking way, but when you look at the person himself, the person involved, the person gets affected, because every time he gets back home, at the end of the day, everyone is busy talking about, no, my child at school has done this, my child this, and then you just have this couple who don't have anything like that, don't have anyone to talk about, let alone even just having been able to achieve a pregnancy. For some couples, it has been a challenge, and that even self-esteem, it goes down. Finally, even that confidence in the woman, including in the man, it just goes down. At the end of the day, the couples, they are just able, more or less, they feel like they are not, the woman feels like she's not woman enough, and that's why she's unable to have a child. Even the man at some point gets to feel like he's not man enough. And of course, society rubs salt into the wound, and they're like, you, look at you, this is why you are even unable to have a child. Those are the big social injustices that our people with infertility suffer. In terms of fertility care, first and foremost, it's provided in both the public sector and the private sector. The private sector, or let me first start with government sector. In government sector, infertility is treated generally together with other obstetrics and gynecological conditions. So in short, women or couples that suffer from infertility, they're just grouped together with the other people that have other women's healthy problems. And as a result, there is no particular unit in any of the public government institution where you can say this is particularly on this particular day or this particular unit. It's purely dedicated to infertility, and therefore I would say such infrastructure in public institutions therefore are not existent, except when they are bunched up together with the other conditions, meaning priority already is compromised. In the private sector, there's one private sector which is able to offer IVF. For them, all they do is purely infertility. Completely, this one is just dedicated to fertility treatment and nothing else. So for now, I can say the whole country, what we have should be one. Maybe this time I was away, there could be another one or two, but to my knowledge so far, there's only one that has been existing, and that's in the main capital, Lusaka, which makes it even more difficult for those that come from outside. And of course, being a private sector, expenses are a little bit high, and the people that offer the treatment, they are not local. They come from another country. They come in as a group of specialized group, individuals, doctors, embryologists, then they would come in, treat a batch, then go. Already that in itself also makes it a little bit more difficult for a lot of our people back home. Available options right now in most of the places, we can only treat up to giving medications with clomiphene, hoping the woman will be able to ovulate. So therefore the only couples we can treat are those with the ovulatory dysfunction. However, the majority, a good number of infertility cases that we see, let me talk about women first before I go to men. So with women, we see a lot of tubal factor infertility. And unfortunately for tubal factor infertility, the only treatment, the only way out is IVF. And no center offers IVF apart from one private center, the same one which I spoke about, which makes it so difficult. Immediately somebody's tubal factor infertility, then that's it. Either they have to access the same one private center, or we just have to transfer them out of the country. And a number of them have actually been referred to countries nearby, South Africa, India, and the other countries which have more centers and expertise in treating infertility when it comes to tubal factor, which unfortunately is just one of the major contributors of infertility. Then when it comes to male factor infertility, even becomes more challenges, because first and foremost, they will still need IVF, they will need ICSI, and then even those other procedures which are required in men like TESA, PESA, aspiration of sperm, name it all, such are never offered at all. And if somebody has got such level of a problem, it will mean they'll be required to be referred outside the country. Through this training, I've been equipped with quite a lot of knowledge. I think I understand. Yes, I thought I knew infertility, but with this training that I've been exposed to, I've come to understand the various, including the various methods. I would have read about them, but it differs when you are seeing something, when you're exposing, and even more importantly, this is a training that has given us quite a lot of hands-on experience. Talk of egg pickup, scanning for infertility. I'll go back with this knowledge and expertise, which will be so beneficial, and more importantly, even as I train, starting from medical students, colleagues, especially including those who are doing postgraduate training. Finally, my input in the field of obstetrics mainly I'll venture towards the fertility, and when we go there, it will start with opening up a fertility unit, and through that fertility unit, then we can continue expanding, build on it, and with time, we should be able to see a situation where everything which comes to fertility treatment will be able to offer it locally, meaning finally our people will not need to be traveling outside. And as more gynecologists get trained in fertility, it means a lot more centers will have fertility specialists, as in provinces. We have 10 provinces, and if we can have one at least in each province, it means even all those who are forced to cover long distances, all those will be able to get one fertility specialist at least within a 2 to 4 hour distance, and that will go a long way in alleviating the suffering of these couples who are suffering from fertility, and knowing challenges of fertility, stigma that comes with it, how women are stigmatized for not having children. We hope, it is my view as I go back, that finally will be the answer to those women and couples crying out right now. I have to thank Merck through the Merck Foundation, through the Merck More Than a Mother program. Without them, I wouldn't have had this exposure. Without them, I wouldn't have had this training. And when you are offered a training where basically they have done everything for you, they have done the fundings, even found the school for you, get there, and more importantly, they placed us in what is being described, and from what I've seen, like India's best training institute when it comes to fertility. I basically, I don't know how much more words, like what would I've basically run out of words that I would use to thank Merck, and all I can just say is they have been such a wonderful institution. The exposure I've gotten, including 1 or 2 conferences that I have attended, thanks to Merck Foundation, thanks to Merck More Than a Mother program. And I pray that Merck continues with this wonderful program, because what has been happening is infertility is actually a neglected public health program. It is a big public health problem which has been neglected. Not many governments have paid attention to it. I take it, people take it, hey, it's not like somebody's sick, but the social burden that it has on infertile couples is quite big. And I have to thank Merck More Than a Mother for this opportunity. It was such a big opportunity, which gave me this exposure, which gave me this training, and including all the connections eventually that I've gathered whilst in India. Thank you very much.